Hello, world. Welcome to episode 191 of the Jimmy Canz Show, classic supercard retrospective. We take a look back at the WCW Japan Super Show 3. This was actually the final Japan Super Show uh, that uh, we get. It was obviously a co-promoted contest between WCW and New Japan. It was actually recorded January 4th, 1993, but it did not air on pay-per-view until March of 1993. So 2 months later, it finally sees air. 63,500 people in attendance at the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. Um, 6 matches aired on the pay-per-view from what was a 10-match live show. This is just an odd pay-per-view to watch. First off, the action was called by Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross. Um, so that's odd in the fact that Ross had left the company by the time this aired. um, Also, by the time this aired, Barry Windham is the NWA champion, having beaten Muda at Super Bowl III. But on this broadcast, Masahiro Chono was the NWA champion, defending in a title for title contest against Muda, who was IWGP champion. But anyway, let's talk about this pay per view, regardless of its weirdness. The first contest we get on the actual pay per view broadcast was, something at the time that was considered somewhat of a dream match in Japan, as Jushin Thunder Liger was challenging the Ultimo Dragon for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Uh, no shocker that these two tore it down. Liger ended up capturing the title after a Frankensteiner in just over 20 minutes. I laughed a lot um, watching this one as JR and Shivani kept calling Ultimo Dragon the Ultimate Dragon. So that was kind of funny. Like I said, this was somewhat of a dream match. Dragon at the time was, even though he came into this match as IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, he was actually signed by All Japan, uh, and not New Japan at this point. So that's why this was kind of a dream match. So honestly, I don't know the entire backstory here as to how an All Japan wrestler ended up with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship prior to this. But anyway, like I said, phenomenal matchup. Phenomenal matchup. Um, Next up, we see the All American Ron Simmons in action. He is taking on one uh, Tony uh, Home. Um, Home would sign with the WWF later in the year and become Ludwig Borga. So if he looks familiar, that's probably why. Simmons gets the win in this one, just over 6 minutes after a big old spine buster. Uh, but yeah, it's kind of odd thing. Like I said, Holm was known to the New Japan audience at the time. He was, the large Finnish powerhouse that he was had been competing in Japan for a while, so he was kind of like the known. And then you had Simmons coming in, representing WCW in this one. So Ron with the big win here. Next up, we get some tag action. You get the team of Scott Norton, another big powerhouse who was very familiar to New Japan audience, teaming with the natural Dustin Rhodes. They took on the New Japan duo of Shinya Hashimoto and Masa Saito. 13 and a half minutes with the Japanese tandem getting the victory in this one, as Rhodes ended up taking the pin after an enziguri from Hashimoto. Next up in the middle of the broadcast, we get the champion versus champion title for title contest. As IWGP champion, the Great Muta is taking on the NWA champion, Masahiro Chono. This one goes almost 20 minutes. Muta ends up capturing the NWA title thanks to a pair of moonsaults. I guess that's not a real big surprise, as we've already seen Muta go into Super Brawl as NWA champion. So this was where he actually won it. Except by the time this aired, he's already lost the title to Barry Windham. So we get to see him win the title after he's already lost the title. And next up, we get a 6-man tag. These are all, New Japan competitors in this one. You have the team of Akira Nogami, El Samurai, and Takayuki Izuka facing the trio of Koki Kitahara, Masa Orihara, and Nabukazu Yari, I guess. Sorry if I butchered those. This one goes a little over 15 minutes with Izuka pinning Orihara after a power bomb. So, I mean, for the American audience, this one was kind of like, we don't know any of these people, more or less. So I don't understand why for the American pay-per-view, why this match was included. I mean, again, quality match, but nobody knows any of these competitors. So I think it would have made more sense to have some type of, WCW versus, New Japan competitive. I think, if I'm remembering right, I think one of the matches on this card saw the Steiners in action, but they had actually left by the time that this, aired. So maybe that's why. So they needed to get a sixth match on the card. So they're like, oh, let's use this one. At least it's a good match. I don't know. But anyway, and then the last match on the actual pay-per-view was a singles contest between Sting, representing WCW, and he was taking on the New Japan icon in Hiroshi Hase. Um, this one, solid contest. I mean, Hase and Sting both can really, deliver in the ring. And this one, 15 and a half minutes. Sting ends up getting the win after a big diving splash. In this one, after, there was quite a bit of back and forth for a while, and each man getting in a bit of his own stuff, and then Sting, getting the W here. So, that was the final Japan Super Show that we got. In terms of Hall of Famers, really, there's only 4 um, on this, on this card, in Simmons, Sting, Liger, and Muta. I mean, JR was calling some of the action, so there's a 5th, and then Bischoff was kind of around, would take us up to 6. Bischoff kind of introduced a few matches here or there, and I think he called one match, um, which I think actually was that all New Japan 6-man tag. So that also kind of probably tells me that they weren't planning on having that on the actual pay-per-view, and that commentary was recorded after the fact by Bischoff. So because JR had already left. So whatever match they were planning on including, and then they couldn't, they needed to get some commentary for whatever they did, and that's why that ended up happening. Anyway, this is match quality wise, it's amazing. Amazing card. I mean, all these New Japan Super Shows, the quality of the wrestling was always really good. Sans, I think the first one where we ended up having to suffer through Elegante, but aside from that, these are great. But tape delayed shows like this, just they don't really hit. Again, like I said, you had Muda going out there winning a title. Everybody already saw him lose, um, and everything. And then, like I said, even though the quality is good, American audiences just they don't identify with a lot of these people because they don't know anything about them, especially at this point in time. There wasn't any real way to be watching WCW TV at this point. So, and not WCW, New Japan TV at this point. So, anyway, um, it's a little bit better than mid, just because the quality of the matches is all really good. So I'll give it a 7. Uh, yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. So there you have that. Our next classic Supercard retrospective that we will discuss will be none other than WrestleMania 9. So look forward to that a few weeks down the road. Try and get that one up a little bit before doing the actual Mania and stand and deliver predictions and all that kind of stuff for Mania weekend this year. So give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. Take care of one another, and I will see you all when I see you.